Hey y'all, this is Jess with Bless Your Heart. Let's do a coral and purple ombre tumbler today. I'm going to start by spray painting my cup with Rustoleum Grape and Sweet Pea. And the glitters I'm going to use today are all from the Glitter Guy. I've got Girl 27, Purple Rain, Rebel, and Coral. For my glitter adhesion today, I'm going to use the epoxy method, and this is just a very thin layer of Flynn Sisters Fast Set Epoxy over the entire tumbler. I'm going to start out with my chunkies, and these are not going to be any of the blending glitters that we're going to be using, but I do want a fair amount of the chunks from both of these chunky glitters to show through because it's just absolutely pretty, both of them. So we're going to start with Girl 27 on the very bottom, and then I'm going to use Rebel on the very top. And like I said, I'm not going full coverage, but I do want an ample amount of all of these shifty, different pigmented, chunky glitters to show through. Once I'm happy with how the chunky glitters are laying down, I'm going to go in with my fines, and this is Purple Rain. I'm going full coverage along the bottom and the bottom edge, and I'm going to tilt my cup almost vertical. I don't want this to go all the way up the cup, so I want it just to kind of waterfall on its own. Once I'm happy with that coverage, I'm going to move on to Coral, which is the fine cut for the top, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to go full coverage around that very top rim, and this time I am going to hold my cup pretty much vertical because I want this to fall further down the cup than the purple fell up the cup, and this is just going to help me get the best blend that I possibly can get. After you're happy with your blend, you're going to get a coat of epoxy on here and do a light sanding. So this is when I decided that I was going to put like a V-split on here, and this is just a piece of vinyl from Vinyl Fun for Everyone. I've already cut my V, and I'm going to go in and try to take a little slice out of the middle so I can do my best to line this up to where it's going to meet on one side nice and easy. Now this is just like the hinge method, only instead of just an inch of overhang, we're going to have pretty much the half of a sheet. So we're going to smooth one side down and be very careful to try not to crease or have any lines in the vinyl because we don't want to stretch it and distort it. This vinyl is pretty forgiving, but you just kind of want to err on the side of caution. So smooth down your first side, use your squeegee to smooth down the second side, and if you do have any bubbles, you can use the tip of your craft knife and you can pop those and use your squeegee to kind of push the air out. When you're happy with all of your work, go ahead and check out what you've done because that's a pretty cute piece of vinyl. And we're going to go ahead and move on to our vinyl striping. We're using a textured vinyl, and we're also going to layer it, so I'm not real worried about the edges of the vinyl showing. But I'm going to use this textured kind of brass color, and then I'm going to use just a glitter nail tape. We're going to put the textured vinyl on first, and we're going to go on both sides of that triangle. Once we get that done, we're going to put the glittered nail tape right on top, and we're going to try to keep it as center as possible in that vinyl striping, and then we're going to check out our handiwork. I am going to go in and put a stripe along the very top of the cup to kind of camouflage that edge, but I'm going to put this over the two pieces I have already put down. And what that's going to do is kind of seal that in on itself, and that's going to help us not have any of those pop-up pieces that come up with epoxy. To cut our excess vinyl off at this very bottom point, we're going to go in and kind of miter the point. And that means we're going to go from the top of where the vinyl stripes touch all the way to the bottom of where they touch. And what that's going to give us is a nice crisp point at the very bottom, and it's going to give us the most polished look that we can get. So now that we're done using this kind of rusty bronzy color, we're going to go in with our glittered nail tape. And we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to go on both sides of the V, and then we're going to go around the very top to kind of seal those edges in, and then we're going to cut our V the exact same way. Sometimes things don't like to stick to this vinyl that's textured very well. So what you want to do when you come to that is you want to press whatever you're putting on top of the textured vinyl, you want to press that down very well. So the adhesive that's on whatever you're putting on top of it kind of seeps into those little textured pieces. But in this instance, if you stretch nail tape too much, it pulls like electrical tape does. So it's going to distort the actual edge of whatever's on the nail tape, and that's going to kind of give you those little kind of fringy white pieces that happen when you pull electrical tape. When you've cut off all of your excess pieces of vinyl and you're happy with everything, we're going to move on to the decal. For the decal, I just did one simple offset. We're using a corally kind of color for the very top, and for the offset is going to be kind of a shiny metallic-y purple. I'm going to use the parchment method as always to line up the top onto the offset, and once I'm happy with that, I'm going to place it on the cup. So with the parchment method, you want to make sure that you have a little bit of your transfer tape as an overhang or an anchor. You're going to slip out the parchment when you're happy with it, and there you go with a pretty good decal. So we're going to place that kind of in the middle in all of that ombre, and then after that we're going to epoxy this entire tumbler until smooth. And here we go. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me today. I hope to see you again soon. Bye.